This video series is based on my book, Dialogue with a Christian Proselytizer. And this book is a dialogue between two characters. One is a Christian proselytizer who is handing out pamphlets warning that Judgment Day is coming. And the other character is a skeptic who uses the Socratic Method when responding to the proselytizer. And this video series will be a high-level overview of how I use that approach. All right, in this introductory video, part 1 of 7, I'm just going to give an overview of the rest of the series with the hope that this introduction will interest you into watching the rest. Part 2 of 7 will just define the Socratic Method. Part 3 of 7 will begin the discussion that I have with my hypothetical Christian proselytizer. Just to give a little more description here. In that video, I'll go over the 3 ground premises that the Christian and I need to agree upon in order to focus on the issue at hand. Which is, are there convincing reasons for me to believe that the Judeo-Christian Bible contains divine wisdom, that this is this Word of God? First ground premise that I agree to accept, at least for the sake of argument, is that there is some sort of creator. Second, if there really is a creator that's responsible for everything, including the creation of humans and our capacity for advanced communications, then I'll go ahead and accept the premise that at least it would be plausible to believe that such a creator had made some sort of communication effort with us humans. Third premise, in that trying to make sense out of, well, why are there so many competing versions of these allegedly divine dictations, I'm going to go ahead and accept the fundamentalist explanation that this is because one religion came from God, the rest just made up by people. All right, moving on to part 4 of 7. This is where I try to get the Christian himself to make this case for being skeptical of religious claims. That is, the Christian and I read through some of the scriptures and stories from non-Christian religions, and we both agree on 3 characteristics that are strong clues that that a religion was not created by an infallible, omniscient, supernatural being, but just made up by quite fallible humans. First of these strong clues is when a religion's stories reveal a cluelessness about the universe. That is, when a religion reveals that it is an earthbound perspective that never extends beyond the limited knowledge of ancient man, such as thinking that the stars are tiny, that the moon is a light, that the earth is flat, that the sun orbits our planet. All right, second clue is when we see that a religion has laws that are barbaric and contain senseless prejudices. And third clue is when we look at the origins of these foreign religions, we can see how that, at least to some extent, they're formed from being pieced together from ideas and stories from pre-existing religions. All right, now moving on to part 5 of 7. This is where the Socratic Method comes into play, because this is where the Christian and I, that is, through the mouthpiece of the skeptic, read through the Judeo-Christian Bible and examine it by the same light that we just held up to non-Christian religions. And I point out that the Bible contains every single one of those same telltale signs of human authorship. Its knowledge of the universe limited to that of ancient man. It contains barbaric laws and senseless prejudices, and many of its stories and ideas are borrowed from pre-existing religions. Or to sum up the main point of the whole book in one sentence, if you can understand why you reject all the other religions, you can understand why I reject yours. All right, part 6 of 7. That's going to review the Christian apologist's counter-arguments, because the skilled Christian apologist really can defend the Bible against any argument that questions the Bible's divinity. And that, of course, includes my arguments. In part 7, we'll discuss why I don't find that the answers the Christian apologists give, why I feel they don't hold up to scrutiny. They're just not very convincing. All right, 4 final comments. First is that the approach I'm offering here could be used to question the divine inspiration behind every religion, but I limit my focus to Christianity mainly because the inspiration behind this book was the wildly unsuccessful debates I used to have back in my college days with campus proselytizers. I mean, I feel it's fair to say that these campus Christians didn't have the facts on their side, but still their arguments were well organized and they were even logical, I mean, at least within the realm of wrong premises. So my arguments, on the other hand, they were just a scattered mess. I didn't have my facts together. They weren't organized in any kind of coherent way. So I was usually left with the feeling that, all right, these guys are in the wrong, but they win every argument that I have with them. So my main goal in writing this book was, how do I respond to proselytizers? And because I live in New York where I only meet Christian proselytizers, that's why I focus on Christianity. All right, second comment. In addition to this 7-part series, I'll also be making 2 standalone videos that are related to this series. First, we'll discuss an abbreviated version of the Socratic Method with Christian proselytizers, something to use when you don't have time for an extended discussion. And the second standalone video will offer a more complete discussion on why I don't mind accepting the argument that a creator exists when I debate religion with proselytizers, even though I do define myself as an atheist. That is my definition being, I think a creator is more improbable than probable. In that video will be called 3 Advantages to Questioning the Creator's Word, but not a creator, when speaking with theists. All right, third comment. I call this series Using the Socratic Method with Christian Proselytizers, rather than Using the Socratic Method with Christians, is because the topics I bring up here are ones I generally only bring up with people who are trying to convert me. That is, I generally don't use this approach to hassle Christians. All right, sometimes I do hassle Christians. I do hassle people that sometimes if I think they can take it, depending on our relationship. But for those who show no interest in bringing up the subject of religion, and I can tell they're religious, but they really just prefer to keep their faith private, I do try to keep my big mouth shut around them. All right, fourth and final comment is that many skeptics will say the main problem with theists is that they try to push their beliefs on others. But I do think their urge to push their beliefs on others is completely understandable, especially if they belong to a religion where one of their beliefs is that those outside their faith will be sentenced to a place they believe place that they call hell. So I don't at all resent people for proselytizing. That would be like resenting someone for shouting out a warning cry to me that the chair I was about to sit on contained a sharp tack on it. And of course, in the mind of the true believer, going to hell is so much worse than sitting on a sharp tack. It's more like sitting repeatedly on a white-hot, razor-sharp spike, sitting up and down for all eternity. So, if anything, I'm actually surprised by how many theists are not proselytizer, given the alleged seriousness, these alleged truly horrible consequences of failing to belong to the chosen religion. Why more people aren't proselytizers is a separate topic, though. All right, my only point for this series here, is that I can appreciate those who are considerate enough to warn me that I'm putting myself in danger. But of course, with something like attack, the physical reality is solid evidence. You can touch it, you can see it. When it comes to the evidence for the existence of heaven and hell and what allegedly puts you in one of those places, the evidence certainly is not solidly apparent in quite the same way. So I'd like to think that the Socratic Method is a civil and useful way for allowing Christians to make their case for why Christianity really does reflect reality. And it's a civil way, I would like to think, for skeptics to make their case for why, how arguments that are used to support Christianity, that is, arguments such as first cause and design and faith, spiritual experience, holy texts, having millions of followers, all those arguments can also justify dozens of rival religions. So this leads to the question, what basis does the Christian have for saying that every other religion is just made up by man, while Christianity was inspired by God? All right, so thanks for watching this introductory video. I hope you stick with me for all the rest.